I see the Reaper around the corner. The Reaper's been late to meetings. The Reaper is sheepish, a bit meek, punished by management, not confident, really, I don't think. It's weird to see that the Reaper slouches. The Reaper seems like he's been beat up because he doesn't attend the prep meetings to explain why this very important thing that we do every week requires his constant attention, his attention to the lines, and his attention to cheating, which he has been, He's
culpable.
not.
Yeah.
He's
at the very
look,
least.
man. This is a fireable
Part
offense.
of the problem.
Okay, and
Yeah.
if I wasn't scared of the optics of firing the Reaper and sending him out in the street in this media climate, he would have been fired for an assortment of offenses, including just attitude.
So the optics, not your life? I mean,
not my life.
Okay.
I fear the bucket of death more than I fear actual death, because it puts me in these ridiculous costumes. I tried 2 of them on. I've got to do a Captain Hook one that my wife is very disappointed with how flimsy and the fabric is, and it's embarrassing what the costume is.
Sure, you're very upset
yeah,
about
my
it.
wife and I are very upset. We both like the costumes to be pristine and sensual. And the F1 costume is not much of a costume. It's just sweats and a helmet that's way too tight for me to successfully do the show with the helmet on.
My Rocky sweats? I mean,
no, they're not. And I don't think those sweats would be tight on me anymore.
they would be.
I'm not totally sure. Maybe in my shoulders, but I saw you shirtless, but last week.
Yeah.
I'm just glad you finally admitted how much you like the costumes, because we've all known it.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
Look, man, I've been in hiding in front of the audience for 2 damn years. It's time to be free. It's time to let go. Now we got our power back. It was all, go woke, go broke, see, but now we're on max. And now it begins. And we're giving them the quality content of a bucket of death that no one knows how to rein in, and the costumes here and but we've got rising new talent in the business. It's not just Jeremy with his jokes. Lucy is making big splashes every city she lands in. She is headed to the SEC championship game this week. That's a giant one. You have the situation where Georgia, which has beaten 3 top 20 teams by like a combined 120-40, can lose on a neutral field to Alabama by 1 and maybe not be in the playoff.
But this one feels like it's for the whole ball of wax. You're right.
I mean, we need Alabama if we want the chaos theory.
You need Alabama, yes.
You need Alabama to win, because there is a situation in which everyone's going to do what Stugotz always says, is put so much stock on taking down Georgia, especially if you're Alabama. But you can't ignore what Texas did to Alabama.
If they win a close game, and they don't put in Texas, someone in that committee has to look Steve Sarkisian right in the eye and say, you didn't make it. Right in the eye. Go right up to him in his office and say, hey, I know you beat Texas, most valuable win in the sport at Tuscaloosa, but you're not in.
If they win, there's a world we don't have a single SEC team in the playoff.
It's crazy.
The last video that we have, are we ready to unveil it before America? It is ready. It takes curation. It takes days of gentle care.
Lucy cried on the airplane on the way to the game.
I did.
She went to Michigan, Ohio State. Let's see what happened.
Hi, Dan. It's me, Lucy, and I'm here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. You can probably tell with the big giant M right there. We're here for the game, Ohio State, Michigan. And you know what I'm here for? Not for content, to steal signs for Iowa. Yeah, Michigan, you're not the only one. You're not the only one. Unless the Michigan Athletic Department is watching this, and that was just a silly little joke. Why do you hate Ohio State?
Because going to college to sell pizza for a living is not a f***ing degree.
Why doesn't anyone hate Ohio State would be the better question. They're annoying.
Because they suck. They suck eyes. They're the worst losers on the planet.
Entitled, terrible attitude, whiny, just a giant pain in the I hate the whole state of Ohio just in general. When you play in a stadium that's shaped like a toilet seat, it's a shithole.
Because they like nuts?
Your mascot's a nut.
And who has the mascot of a nut?
But they ain't never going to reach us. Ever, ever, ever. And they hate it.
Ohio State fans, why do you hate Michigan?
arrogant, pompous.
You are born and you hate Michigan, and then you are raised to hate Michigan, and then you go to Ohio State and you hate Michigan.
Cheaters, liars.
So if I heard this correct, we just always hate Michigan. Yeah, that's always the plan. How do you feel about Jim Harbaugh not coaching today?
I wish he was here. I'm going to be sick.
Free Jim!
Free Harbaugh.
Free Jim. Yeah, free Harbaugh.
Free Jim Harbaugh.
I love him.
Back to the NFL he goes. I would like to know where Jim Harbaugh is right now.
You hear those sirens? They were coming for Jim.
Free Jimmy!
What do you think Connor Stallions has been up to the last few weeks? I know he hasn't been laying low.
Who's Connor Stallions?
Who?
He's hiding.
Connor Stallions needs a statue out in front of Michigan Stadium.
Due process is out of the question, and something like that is a piece of.
Are you nervous about having to play Iowa in the Big Ten championship game potentially?
No.
I wasn't even nervous when Cade McNamara and Eric Hall went there.
Nervous? About Iowa?
Either team beats Iowa by 40 next weekend.
Who? What time?
Game.
We just have to kick a field goal and we beat you guys.
I don't know why they keep laughing when I ask that question.
Not remotely.
So, cut the camera! I can tell they're all really scared about playing Iowa next week. I'm Mr. Bright. They're going to beat Iowa so bad next week.
A Michigan Wolverine.
Do you want to be on the Dan Le Batard Show?
Absolutely.
Have you guys ever heard of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz?
I watch it religiously every day.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know who this is. I read the microphone and I knew right away.
Okay. Do you guys watch the show?
No.
Only because of you.
Be on the Le Batard Show. Oh, yeah. They just took a picture with me thinking I worked for the Dan Patrick Show. Who is your favorite person on the show?
That would be you.
Jess needs some more misogynistic Bane. Like, we need some more of that character.
Do you have to go with Dan?
No. I'll go with you. I like your content.
Let's go,
I can't film anything here. Dan, I don't know if you've ever tried to film a stand-up.
Let's go blue! Let's go blue! I love Dan Le Batard! I love Dan Le Batard! Go blue, baby!
Dan, that was the perfect end to the regular season and the perfect end to our off-roading series. I'm going to miss it so much. Of course, we're going to the SEC Championship game next week because we're not going to the other one, the one in Indianapolis. And you know what? While we're at it, I just want to say we shouldn't forget about Michigan sign stealing. Shouldn't forget about it. And I think the only fair punishment is for them to forfeit the Big Ten Championship game. This video was brought to you by Liquid IV. Rehydrate like an athlete on game day and wake up feeling refreshed tomorrow. You can use code LUCY for 20% off at liquidiv.com. That's code LUCY, L-U-C-Y. You spell it any different, you're wrong.
Billy Gill? Where's everyone?
It's just me.
Where's Cody?
They don't send anyone else to this stuff.
Greg Cody, why are you laughing about the code Lucy? $5 for clearing your voice into the mic.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Did we wake you up from a slumber? Like,
No,
what?
I was enjoying the hell out of that. What a great video produced
Yep.
by Lucy.
Awesome.
That was the end of it,
really
though.
good.
That was the end of it, even though it's not ending.
Yeah, I don't know why I said that. We're still going. We got the SEC Championship this week, Army-Navy, bowl season. We'll do stuff after that I haven't figured out what
There was
that
a
is
great
quite yet.
suggestion in there. I would be willing to build Michigan a Connor Stallion statue if they win the national championship. I will make it an ornate, wonderful thing. Like expensive. I'm willing to do that if Michigan wins the championship.
Is he going to be dressed as a CMU staffer?
He has to be.
Yes, but it would be made of a material that would make Michigan men proud.
We will do this.
Yes, I'm offering to fund a project on behalf of Meadowlark Media to build Michigan a Connor Stallion statue that I will insist be put in a prominent place on campus, and it will, unlike some of the other
You need approval for that.
statues
We're
in
gonna
this
need your
country
bonus.
that people argue over. Yeah, we're gonna need a lot of money to do it.
Yeah, pure bronze. It's expensive.
Were
Supply
Michigan
chain
fans
issues.
celebrating beating Ohio State, or that they get to face Iowa? I mean,
They found out very quickly that I was an Iowa fan on the field, and that was not a pleasant experience for me. I won't say they're my favorite fan base I've ever interacted with.
if Michigan forfeited, it would be a tie. I mean,
Yeah, pretty much. I'd take it.
Jeremy, you are first. Let's do this quickly, please. This godforsaken thing.
You got it. This godforsaken thing brought to you by Kentucky Fried Chickens. 2 for $5 chicken wraps. Now in new mac and cheese, classic, and spicy slaw. That's right. Chicken wraps are back at KFC. It's finger licking good.
I got the Baltimore Ravens, who were on a bye this week.
A lot of buys this week. Congratulations.
I like them in that one.
We've got Greg Cody. That is a joke that's been made since the bye was invented, and the same fake chuckle that co-hosts have been given for years.
We like supporting my teammate. That's all.
We won the bye. The bye week was not a loss.
Rummaging.
We got Stugotz and Cody today.
I had to cough.
Excellent use. No one heard it. And you
No
avoid
fine,
the fine that you
good.
would never pay.
No, just dead air. Just
Yeah.
dead air.
Hey, but you're supposed to fill the gaps, man. Support your teammate. That's what the laugh is for.
Right. Gabbing it.
That's right.
Filling your gaps for 20 years, man.
All we heard was,
hell yeah.
What? I got the Cardinals.
The
Bye week?
Cardinals, no, the Cardinals are
At the Steelers.
At Steelers. They
No,
are
thank
5.5 point dog.
Greg, you can have that T-shirt. Fill in your gaps for 20 years.
All right, I got it.
Yes.
Get on it, Christmas.
Yes.
everything's butter with better.
The merch store's coming out again this week. This week,
Touche.
we got an assortment of T-shirt ideas out there.
I got a blue helmet.
Is that the Wizard of Oz helmet?
Wizard of Oz,
Helpful,
yeah.
Stugotz.
What does that mean?
Lions.
Lions, Tigers, or Bears?
Anyone
Bears are on a
bye?
bye
The
week.
Bears are on a bye.
Boom.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Told 'em that.
Thank you for coming.
Dad, Stugotz already has the rummage. Like that's his
I invented
thing.
the rummage.
No, you didn't. You started doing it this season.
You're
Stugotz has been doing
copycatting
it for
it.
5
Yes.
years.
Oh, the Bears.
How
Are
did,
they off?
how did everyone get the Bears?
Yeah.
It's allowed.
Where's Billy and Tony?
Wait a minute.
Right.
The Bears.
And that's not good for anybody.
I like the Bears in that one.
It's good for us.
The Bears.
The Bears.
The Bears. The key to that is to make the S a C. The Bears.
What?
Like that.
The Bears.
The Bears. The S becomes a C.
The cares.
Let me hear
The
it again.
Bears.
It's just clearly an S at the end.
No, it's a C.
Right.
Say it
Bears is an S is sort of a Z sound.
Right.
A C is like the Bears. Like that. I got a seminar on that if anybody
This
wants
is
to sign
Inu
up.
and an
Thank you.
improved Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.
The last time we saw this man, one of the most credible information insiders in the history of the game, he was trying to sell us a bill of goods, that his natural scent was just coming out of the gym and wonderful. And we found out that it was a fragrance, a $92 serum, the investigative work of Lucy, an up-and-coming journalist, as opposed to this washed, lying Jay Glazer. You're the one who exposed him as being the user of serums, correct?
Yes, and you say journalism is dead.
No, it is not dead. I know Sports Illustrated has artificial intelligence, but we've got real intelligence here. Lucy, you are still feeling the shame of this, right, Jay? I've got a number of football questions, but it is now known throughout the galaxy that your wife knows how to make you smell wonderfully and expensively, while you, her husband, think somehow it's his natural musk.
Well, first of all, I think it's now been labeled Serum-Gate. It's never been good to be part of a gate. And however, it's still it's fiance, not husband and wife yet. I still have time to screw this up.
Okay, I'm rooting for you. It's me.
Screw it up.
Well, I'm going to get to the football in a second, but I do believe in the idea. Man, Jay's been through some shit. He's crawled through some dark, and Jay can talk about love in a way that I mean, your fiance has taught you some things.
Oh my God! You know the best thing my fiance Rosie's done for me. See, a lot of times people like me, when you have this like depression, anxiety, you don't feel you're worthy of love, so you try to sabotage it. You try to screw it up, and you push people away because like the living in question of when it's going to end is almost more painful than it ending. So you force it to end. And I've done that with every relationship. Where Rosie Tennyson's been amazing for me is she has told me every time I've had one of these meltdowns, hey, I'm not going anywhere. Like, I got you. And it's really the first person who's ever done that for me. And the other thing is when you do it, you feel so much shame that you acted like such a jackass. And that usually lasts for you for a while. She has such short-term memory, and within 10 minutes, she really convinces me, like, no, babe, it's over. It's good. I understand you. I get it. I totally understand it. And Rosie's done a lot of work on herself, too, and she's gone through a lot also. And Rosie, I think, has lived to help out everybody else. So she's perfect for me, man, and it's been great. We just had a great week in New York. We got to light up the Empire State Building, me and Jimmy Johnson and Kurt Menefee, and brought Rosie up there, which for a New Yorker, man, that's a bucket list, man. It was pretty cool, man, taking her back to my home.
That's so awesome. Jay, let me paint a picture for you, okay? And just give me your
opinion. Hold on, what
That
happened
was-
there? You guys didn't like, you
That
didn't,
was-
you
That's
didn't,
so awesome.
you didn't see the sincerity in that?
Disingenuous.
You
It's
didn't,
awesome.
yeah, no, it felt like a transition.
I mean, what else do I say? It's so awesome.
No,
I mean, you can make it seem a little bit more sincere.
It just seemed, I think Chris
Jay,
and,
that's so awesome. It really
Hey,
is.
man,
Let me
I
paint.
talk about love
Yeah, right.
because no one's questioning my man. So I'm good.
Exactly.
I can talk openly and be vulnerable about this. No one's going to call me a wuss soon. So that's why I think more dudes need to do this.
Right.
And like every time I've told you guys, and Dan, it's gotten us closer together as you talk, like dudes never talk like this to each other. And every time I've talked like this with the doodliest dudes on the planet, the most savage freaking killers there are, it's just brought us all closer together.
That's great. Now, Jay, let me paint this picture for you, okay? So, listen, your fiance goes outside, right? And it's a little bit colder than normal, okay? She's walking the dog. When she comes back inside, should she tell you, hey, it's cold, wear a sweatshirt?
Where are we going with this?
It's not a trick question. Greg Cody is mad at his wife because it's 59. It was 59 degrees here this morning. His wife went to work, and he thinks, he's furious with her, that she had an obligation, a responsibility to call. I know you're distrustful right now, Jay.
Right.
Because, man, he's suspicious of you right now, Stugotz. He thinks you're making fun of him.
No.
Google and a weather app. Look at yourself.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you,
Look at
Jay
yourself.
Glazer.
Jay, you would tell her. You would. You would say, hey, it's chilly outside.
My fucking fiance don't dress me. I'm a grown up. Shit.
It's not your mom. It's not her responsibility.
Exactly right.
She's been outdoors. I haven't. Do me the courtesy. It's not her obligation. It would have been nice if she had said, hey, by the way, it's cold out.
Rosie, how cold is it outside?
It was 65. I mean,
You just said open the door and check yourself.
That's a good point.
I did like Jay Glazer.
He makes a good point.
Jay Glazer bucking up on us. Hey, man, my fiance doesn't dress me, but that serum is delightful. That serum that she gets me is
But no, wait. Hey, just to clarify something, you guys falsely accused me of wearing cologne. And just because I was, Jersey, New York guy, I think you guys think I'm still the Drakkar Noir guy. I'm not. So that was false information. That's all I was saying. I don't wear cologne. I just happen to use this other beautiful skin moisturizer stuff that works with my natural pheromones.
It does work. It does. There's no disputing it. A greater truth has never been told. It absolutely works. I was lightheaded and confused when you came in because you smelled so delightful.
Yes,
I want to get to some football stuff with
Yes, let's do
it. Can we actually keep quarterbacks healthy? Because Cleveland is now on its third one. It's going to be Joe Flacco, or fourth one. Excuse me, fourth one.
Yeah, no, it's a difficult. And I don't know if it's because O-line help is just not as good. I'm not really sure what it is. I think we've had – I don't think this is something that suddenly oh my gosh, there's definitely a lot of quarterbacks hurt this year, but there was last year, the year before that. We've talked about this for a while. Every year it seems when you have these injuries, people say, oh my gosh, why are there so many injuries this year? First of all, it's a violent game, right? That's the bottom line. It's a violent game. And I think we love it because it's a violent game. That's number one. Number two, what's interesting also, just about, let's say, offensive linemen. O-linemen, I remember Bruce Arians telling me when he would get rookie offensive linemen, he said, I almost have a different practice for them because these guys have never been in a three-point stance, never really been in a huddle. Everything from Pop Warner to high school to college is all you're looking over on the side over there, and you're looking at signs or these big placards up there, and it's not the same way in the NFL. So I just think finding those offensive linemen, even look, trade deadline, everybody wanted offensive linemen. There's none. No one's giving up offensive linemen because it's just, I don't think the quality of those offensive linemen are probably what they used to be. And that's why you see guys also like Trent Williams and Lane Johnson and Jason Kelsey who are old school gangster type of guys still at the top of their game after all these years. Those old school guys just aren't around as much anymore.
Jay, though, that this evolution, like when they compare football to war and stuff and make this stuff about survival of the fittest and they're all fighting over money and where the advantages are, we're making defensive linemen who can't be blocked. We're making defensive linemen who are going to injure you when you try to block them and are going to injure your quarterback. The Ravens said what happened with Burrow. The Ravens put their name on, when you play us, that can happen to your quarterback. We're going to break his wrist. Like, that's
but I don't think it's more. No, look at like those old Giants with Lawrence Taylor, Leonard Marshall, and Carl Banks and Harry Carson. No, and those old 49ers and the Raiders defense with Howie Long, or the old Pittsburgh Steelers defenses. No, I don't think it's
smaller, Jay. These are smaller human beings. They're smaller.
You're training like half of them.
Yeah, right now they're smaller.
You're training like half of them.
Are they smaller?
You know how much bigger. You know how much bigger Miles is.
No, I'm saying that Howie Long is smaller. That the players from that age who are hitting the quarter.
Howie Long is not small.
I'm not
compared to today's
I'm not
player,
saying
Jay.
small under most circumstances. I'm talking.
No, those guys were bigger back then. First of all, I think players are. It's interesting. Back in the day, when I started covering the Giants in '93, you would see guys come in this league, and the modern medicine was really rampant in the NFL. And I think nowadays guys don't have to actually juice like they used to because of the supplement business and because of how much you now know about what you can do for certain foods and different supplements and different vitamins. You don't have to do it. But I think back in the day, guys would come in the league, man, with like freaking 4 foreheads coming out. Are you kidding me? No, I think they were monsters back then.
Jay, where do you think Bill Belichick's going to be coaching next year?
It's interesting. If we had this conversation 5 years ago, and I told you guys this the last time I was with you, all 32 teams would be lining up. And it's just not the case anymore. Like the style of beating dudes down doesn't work anymore. Doesn't connect. And the reason why I think a lot of it is this right here, because guys are going to the locker and they're getting beat down constantly. Right. And I just had this talk with a head coach recently. He said, no, we're good about keeping everything inside our everything inside here. I said, dude, there is no more inside here. You may think it's kept in your building, but when these guys go to their phones, nothing's kept inside anymore. That old school mentality doesn't work. You can't just say, oh, there's no noise in our building. There's noise in your building because of what these guys see on their phones. You can say as much as you want, oh, get off social media. They're not off social media. It just doesn't happen. So I think guys get beat down so much. Now when you have guys like Mike Tomlin who loves you up, or Mike McDaniel who loves you up, or Dan Campbell who loves you up, or Sean McVay who loves you up, that's what's working more in the NFL than the old school way of we're just going to beat you down and tell you what a moron you are. I don't think that style works. And look, you just saw with Josh McDaniels out with the Raiders, right? And those guys ripped into him. Plus, players have more power now than they ever have. They have a bigger voice than they ever had. So we asked where Bill Belichick's going to go. I just think the league has changed where, 5 years ago, every team will be lining up for Bill Belichick. Now I think they're going to look at it and say, oh, man, he's definitely a draw. He's definitely great. He, however, does need a good personnel guy with him because their personnel decisions have not been good.
We've got less than a minute left here, Jay, but we'll come back with you to talk some other football things. What you just described, though, Jay, is how you would describe a game passing someone by. It's not in the X's and O's, though it can happen there, too. It's not even in the front office, though it can happen there, too. You're saying today's players will not connect with the greatest coach we've ever seen. You're saying his style his style is outdated.
They connect with DeMeco Ryans. They do. The players do.
You're right. They connect with DeMeco Ryans. Absolutely. They connect with Mike McDaniel. Absolutely. They connect with Dan Campbell. Right? They'll die for Dan Campbell. And that's, I told Dan this. I said, dude, the reason why you're so great and what works for you is there's so little authenticity in these cats' lives now because of social media, because they're comparing themselves to everybody else's freaking Instagram and Facebook and filtered fraction of a second of highlights. And people are tweeting at you. Listen, when you get tweeted at, it could be some 10-year-old kid in mom's basement. It's still just as loud as a 32-year-old guy who's an executive. You don't know. But when you have a guy like Dan Campbell who's really shown that he loves these guys, is authentic, And a lot of guys need that. They need that love. They need that fatherly love in a way, that big brother love in a way. That's not what Bill Belichick was doing, right? And Bill's a genius when it comes to game planning. There's nothing like it. But at the same time now, these guys just need a different culture than they have in the past.
Jay, we're going to come back with you right after this. Jay, instead of bombarding you with our curiosities, and I will tell the people, as I've told them before, that Jay Glazer has dedicated his life to mental health work. He is the host of the Unbreakable podcast. He is the author of Unbreakable, How I Turned My Depression and Anxiety into Motivation, and you can too. All of which is nice, all of which is sweet, it's syrupy, it is light. It's not why he's here. He's here to talk football. He's here because we need football information. And instead of asking you the questions that we're curious about, what this week in football has been the most interesting stuff to you? A timeline sped up in Carolina that means you get 1 year as a head coach that's 12 games. We have not seen that.
And it's the same thing over and over and over. And I actually talked to David Tepper about this at the Super Bowl this year at the Commissioner's Ball. I got really frustrated. And actually, Rosie's great with me because she calms down, the old glaze that pops out way too much. But I've said this to him and other owners. I always tell these owners, look, would you trust Mike Tomlin, Sean Payton, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan to run your business? And they say, oh, no, absolutely, totally different. I go, then why do you think you can make a second-round pick? It's the same thing. Let your people do their things. And, what happens with owners also, and I know what happened in Carolina, is they had such a bad experience with Matt Rule. And, Matt had gone in there, hired a lot of his friends, there was so much animosity down there. What owners do is then they go and they try and hire the complete opposite. So if they have a guy in there that thinks he's a tyrant, then they go and try and hire Bambi. And when Bambi doesn't work, they go back and try and hire a tyrant. Same thing happens with, we need an offensive coach or defensive coach. And that's where they mess up also. I know they're going to look at it now and go, we need an offensive coach to develop our quarterback. No, man, what you need is a culture guy. You need a culture guy, somebody who builds your culture of winning. That's why John Harbaugh wins every year. That's why Mike Tomlin wins every year. That's why Kyle Shanahan wins every year. That's why, and look, for a while, Bill Belichick had a certain culture in there. And that's why you win over and over and over.
But now no one wants that culture guy. Now you're telling us the greatest guy, because Mac Jones is his quarterback, that Belichick, the ultimate culture maker, now that's not the thing that works anymore. I understand
that type of, that old school coaching used to work. I told you guys that crazy Randy Couture story last time. Randy told me a great coaching thing a few years ago, because when we were coaching our fighters, I'd get mad as shit. And I would jump all over these guys. I'm like, holy, how many times I got to tell you, don't drop your hands? And Randy said, we can't tell them that anymore. Only tell them what you want. You can't tell them what you don't want anymore. I was like, what? He's like, you can't tell them what you don't want anymore. Only tell them, don't tell them anymore, don't drop your hands. Now only tell them, keep your hands up. It's just changed. But it goes back to, again, Carolina, you have certain, owners that once they meddle too much, they got to kind of look at themselves, and they don't, because they think just because I started this business over here means I'll be great at this business. That doesn't really make any sense for anything else in life. Like, just because you run a great bank doesn't mean you can run a great restaurant. Totally different. Can't be a great chef just because you run a great bank.
Jay, because he's a meddlesome owner, because they don't have a first-round pick, because they have the wrong quarterback from last year's draft, it sounds crazy. But are they going to have a hard time hiring a head coach?
No, they won't, because it's still, and people always say that, these young coaches a lot of times, I'll say this, they did want Ben Johnson last year for the Lions. And what I love about Ben Johnson, who I think is the only really big offensive coach right now, and that's why I think you'll have other culture type of guys out there. Lou Anarumo from the Bengals, and Dan Quinn obviously, and Jeff Ulbrich from the Jets, like culture type of guys. But Ben was like, "Hey, I'm not ready yet," which I love. Like, none of these guys say I'm not ready yet. They jump at the chance. So normally people will jump at a chance for a head coaching job, even if it looks terrible. I remember when the Saints were hiring Sean Payton back in the day, they were in the middle of Hurricane Katrina. They were displaced. and yet guys were still lining up for that job. So I think that every coach looks at it and goes, I'll be able to turn that place around. I'll be fine with that owner.
Jay, we saw it again Monday night. Scoring in the NFL is at a decades-long low. Every week, over-unders in the 30s, low 30s. Does the NFL have a problem, and how do you fix it?
No, I don't think it has a problem at all.
You like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm old school. Again, I grew up kind of a Giant fan, so I always loved running game and defenses, man. I love it. I love smash mouth football.
Jim Burke.
Like that. So, I love good defenses. But I do think a lot of the problem, too, is, I mean, guys, you're looking like Minnesota. It is ridiculous to think that Josh Dobbs came in there a couple weeks ago, didn't know anybody or any of the plays, and was still able to win a game. Like, it's ridiculous. And I don't think that there is enough of those, enough depth there at the quarterback position. And I think there's a lot of it is, look, we see Bryce. There's a lot of guys like that size in college, right? And no one goes near him. But Bryce is just so kind of advanced here between the years. And I know you don't see it here, but he was like, he was a coach out there and like his preparation. But because there's so many undersized guys in college that succeed, nobody really wants them playing quarterback in the NFL. They move them to another position. So you don't have that same depth coming into the NFL. And that's why you're going to have a problem. I know they're trying to protect these quarterbacks, but also listen, guys, no one really spars anymore. No one touches each other. And I know, this, I say this and some players agree, some players don't agree, but man, you go in a fight, you got to spar, you got to get your body ready, and no one's allowed to touch each other anymore. So I do think there's a lot more injuries because your body's just not ready for it.
You're talking about practice, but tell me what you think of Boomer Esiason saying that the Jets miss out on free agents because no one wants to play on that turf.
No, but then the Giants would too.
Yep.
No, I think Jets didn't really miss out on free agents this past year, but I don't think that's the case at all. I think that a lot goes into free agency. I kind of look at it also like, first of all, Miami Dolphins, no state tax, you're Miami. Like, they should have their pick of the litter wherever they go. Same with the Dallas Cowboys, right? Like, no state tax, great place, all that. The Arizona Cardinals should be out. Scottsdale's phenomenal, right? They should be out recruiting everybody. I think it's kind of incredible that some of these teams get the free agents to come there, especially when you see guys, go to some of these cold weather teams. It shows you that, they think that they're could be part of a turnaround. But, I don't think the guys are looking at it saying, man, I'm not going to go there because of that turf. Because if that was the case, guys wouldn't be going to the Giants also.
What else did you find interesting this week outside of Carolina? Was there something going on with you and the Giants?
Oh, the Giants, I just put out that there was, it's so funny. I put out something about Brian Daboll and Wink Martindale, and there being bad tension there. And I don't know if it's going to last the rest of their relationship the rest of the season. And I didn't think it's going to happen next year either. I kind of got killed by a bunch of the, Giant people and Giant fans. And listen, I've been covering the Giants now for 31 years. I don't get it wrong when it comes to the Giants. And I remember a few years ago breaking that, the Giants were going to trade Odell Beckham, and I got murdered for it. And you got to look at my tweet that I sent as a result of me getting murdered for it. And people just whenever I say something about the Giants, people get so damn angry at me. And I'm always like, do you guys get this pissed off when your kid comes home with a D on his report card? No. But also I'm very, very thorough in what I do. And I didn't say anything bad about either guy. I'm like, hey, these two just there's too much friction. There's too much tension. I don't know if they can coexist. They're good for each other if they can, but it's a shame that it's kind of gotten to this level. And, I thought it was interesting. They gave, Wink the game ball right after that and all that. It was an interesting thing. And everybody, his fans started killing me. Oh yeah, great tension there, Jay Glazer. They gave him the game ball. I don't just put stuff out, gang, that, is a hearsay.
The Giants fans, he dismissed you with a gang. And he said, I don't get wrong. Giants fans, you need to back off.
Right.
Not here. Not on this one. If you want to come after him on other teams, well, he doesn't get them wrong there either.
I don't get that wrong either, man.
but Giants, but especially not there.
30 years,
At the 31 years, not 30, 31, 31
I
years.
get murdered more by Giant fans than any other fans. I'm like, God, I've been here since '93 and haven't got anything wrong all these years, man. God, give me a little grace here. But if you don't want to, that's fine.
That's fine. Let's get out of here on this. We're going to do this in reverse order. 3, 2, 1. Most meddlesome owners in your sport. We're going to go from bottom to top, so we get maximum drama here.
It was Dan Snyder, and he's gone, which is fantastic.
Hold on a second. Slow it down. Slow it down. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. We're going to do this in order. Number 3, the third most meddlesome owner in football, according to Jay Glazer.
Man. Let me see here, because I got my top 2.
Right.
I'd probably say Woody Johnson.
Number 2.
Jimmy Haslam.
Number 1.
David Tepper.
Oh, he's gotten number 1 already. Mark Davis, no.
No Jerry Jones.
No Jerry Jones.
Not Jerry Jones. No, not as much. Because, again, these guys will come, like the Dan Snyders of the world and the Jimmy Haslams, they'll come in and say, hey, let's go get Johnny Manziel when he's not really even on the board. You know, like just let these guys do their jobs.
Jay, good seeing you. He's the host of the Unbreakable podcast. He's the author of Unbreakable, How I Turned My Depression and Anxiety into Motivation, and you can too. And he's the insider for Fox NFL Sundays, as good as it gets. And he never gets it wrong. Giants fans, go bleep yourselves. Leave him alone. Thank you, Jay. Nice seeing you, sir.
Hey, guys. Love you.
See you, Jay.
Did you guys get uncomfortable? It felt like he was talking about love. I love hearing Jay Glazer talk about love.
I do too.
Uncomfortable.
You guys say, well, because you didn't sound you
weren't super sincere.
You weren't sincere.
Right,
you weren't. You said that's great, and then you went to your football question.
Well, that was about the Empire State Building.
Right. Plus, you said that's awesome. I think.
You know what? Actually, though, Stugotz is right about the Empire State Building. Menifee can't be there. It can be all about love and your fiance, but Menifee needs to not be there for it to be maximum romantic. We got to get Kurt Menifee out of there.